Hi, I'm Mark and welcome back to Crazy Nose, the Materials Edition. Today we're going to take a look at sandalwoods, and I've got 4 examples of the material here in front of me. So on my left I've got sandalwood Mysore. So this comes from Mysore in India, or as it's now known, Mysore. And that's a city in southern India where for hundreds of years they've produced this material by distilling the oil from the sandalwood trees, from the heartwood of the tree. And this really is the OG, if you like, of sandalwoods. It's the gold standard of sandalwood materials around the world. I got this from Works. The original manufacturer here is Pay & Bertrand in France. I got this through Works in New Zealand, and it costs $17 a gram. So it's not a cheap material, but it's not ridiculously expensive. If you are a perfumer on a budget, you might choose this second material, and this is actually Australian sandalwood. So a lot of people don't know that we grow sandalwood in Australia, but we do, and there are plantations of sandalwood trees over in West Australia in what's known as the wheat belt, and that's where this comes from. This again came to me via Works. It's a different subspecies of tree. So this is a variety of tree. This one here, the Indian one, the variety is called Santalum album. And this one here, the Australian one, is Santalum spicatum. So just a different subspecies, and it might have a different smell because of that. This one cost $8.60, so it's about half the price of the Indian one, which is good. Then we come to this one here, which is a New Caledonian sandalwood. So I didn't even know that they grew sandalwood in New Caledonia. I was there only a year ago on holidays, and had I have known, I would have brought some back with me, but I didn't know it at the time. I only discovered it recently. Anyhow, this one again is another variety of sandalwood tree. So again, it could have a different smell to the Indian one, but we'll find out soon enough. This one is a product of LMR, a French company. And again, I sourced it through Works, and this one comes in at $12 a gram. So this one's about 30% cheaper than the Indian one. So those are the 3 naturals, and then on the end here we have a synthetic material. So this is a synthetic molecule known as sandal cyclopropane, and this one is produced by Javanol, the Swiss company, and their brand name for this material is Javanol. So that's a totally synthetic molecule that's engineered to replicate the smell of the natural materials, and we'll find out how good a job they've done of that soon. So I'm going to start now on this end with the Mysore sandalwood being the gold standard, and I'm going to dip a strip in here and describe the smell of this one to you. So I'll put that strip in there, and it's coming out pretty colourless on the strip. It does have an oily texture to it. It's a viscous type of oil texture there. Yeah, so this really has what I consider to be the classic sandalwood smell. It's a beautiful smell. To me, sandalwood is more about the sandal than it is about the wood. And the reason I say that is because it really is a very subtle wood smell. It's of all the wood notes, it's the least woody, I would suggest. It doesn't have the kind of terpenic smell of a pine, or the dry pencil shaving wood smell of a cedar, or the sort of earthy mouldiness of an agarwood. It's just a really quite inert wood. But people describe it as being creamy, and I definitely do sign up for that creamy texture. But to me, this creaminess is nothing to do with the lactonic material that you pour into your coffee. This is the smell of a wet clay slip. So if you know anything about pottery, if you're a potter, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you've ever been into a pottery studio, you'll know the smell that meets you as soon as you walk in the door. It's an unmistakable smell of wet clay, wet terracotta clay. And potters often use a thing called slip, which is a liquid clay that they pour into moulds. And this really reminds me of that, both the texture and the smell of that slip. So it has this creamy, pourable consistency, and it also has this sort of earthy clay smell to it, which you don't get in any other wood that I'm aware of. And it's not, when I say earthy, it's not the smell of soil, it's not the dirt that you plant your veggies in. That's a geosmin smell. This is the smell of wet terracotta clay. It's the smell of silica and iron and aluminium oxide. It's a clay smell. Yeah, and you know, there's a material or there's a perfume. When I'm looking at my collection sometimes and I'm looking for something different to wear, I'll sometimes reach for the bottle of Mitti Attar. Now, attar is just a wearable fragrance oil. Mitti Attar is an attar that's made in the same area as this Mysore sandalwood, and they make it by co-distilling two materials, one being the sandalwood and the other one being bits of broken pottery clay. And they distill those two together and they come up with this amazing smell, which is sort of part wood and part clay earth. And I can imagine why someone thought of doing that, because they just seem to meld perfectly together because they both share this sort of clay note. I might even review that Mitti Attar one day just to give you more of a backstory on that. But that's what this reminds me of, and it's really a beautiful smell. And then that's really the dominant note here. But there's also, to my nose, there's a little wisp of smoke in here, a bit of incense smoke, which is really nice. Yeah, beautiful, complex, rich, earthy, creamy smell. I really do like it. So let's come to the Australian one, because I'm an Aussie, because this one's half the price, so it'd be good if it smells as good, right? We'll get this one out. Looks pretty similar. It's colourless and same sort of consistency on the paper there. Let's see what it smells like. Wow, this is quite different. The first thing to say here is it's got a kind of, rather than a creamy tone, it's got a buttery tone. It's almost like a fatty butter smell. Very interesting. And also then there's a little bit of that clay slip smell, but there's more wood going on in here, much more wood than we're getting through there. There's almost that dry cedar wood smell inside here in the heart of it. And that buttery top note. Wow. And then underneath that, there's kind of a rotting wood smell, almost like a tree fallen in the bottom of a forest, in the base of a forest. Almost like an agarwood smell. You know, on the Freighterworks website, there's a photo there, because they have photos to go with all their materials, and the photos don't really bear any resemblance to the materials, they're just AI generated. But the photo that's on the website for this actually really does match what I'm smelling, because it depicts a tree that's fallen down and you're looking at it, it's cut, and you're looking at the cut end of the tree end on, but it's obviously been lying there in the forest floor for some time and it's started to rot out, and you can see all the lichens and fungi growing on the end of the wood. And this has got that kind of fungus smell, almost like a mouldy cheese smell. Yeah, like I said, like an agarwood smell. Very different to the Mysore. Yeah, wow. All right, let's put that one down and we'll have a look at what we're getting from New Caledonia. So yeah, these are different subspecies, different varieties of the same tree. There's a big difference between the Indian and the Australian variety. See how much difference there is on this New Caledonian one. Right. Looks pretty similar on there. Okay, so this is more like the Mysore sandalwood. Again, this is coming back to that clay slip smell that I described earlier. Yeah, nice. I'd say it's more subtle. Like, this doesn't have the power that I'm getting out of the Indian one. It's dialed back a click or two in terms of strength, but it's very similar profile with that creamy clay slip smell. And just at the top of this, there's a slight sour note, almost like a citrus note, but it's not really a lemon or a citrus fruit. It's just that kind of acidic, acetic kind of smell. Interesting. It's a little more woody too it's more woody than the Mysore, but it's not as woody as the Australian one. It falls somewhere in between, having a little bit of pencil shaving wood in there. Don't detect any smoke smell in there though. So that's the New Caledonian one. And now let's have a look at this synthetic. It's always interesting to see how close they can get with synthetics, and it's hard to imagine how a single molecule like this could replicate the smell of such a complex material as a sandalwood that probably has upward of 100 molecules included in that material as a compound. This one is colourless, and it kind of looks oily like the others as well, actually. It has a very similar look to the others. But quite a different smell. Yeah. Okay, so where we had a creamy smell here, creamy clay smell, the cream here is replaced with a waxy smell, and it actually reminds me of a hot ski wax, you know, when they put the hot wax on the bottom of snow skis. It's like a hot wax on a wood, applied to wood. And it also has a bit of a plasticky smell to it. It's quite synthetic. There is some hint of sandalwood coming through on this, but it's almost like a rough pencil drawing of the aroma rather than the aroma itself. It's quite abstract. And it definitely has that synthetic smell about it. And interestingly, it doesn't have a strong projection. I guess it's probably a similar projection to the New Caledonian sandalwood, which is a little surprising. I expected, being a single molecule of synthetic, it would probably be more diffusive than these heavier oils, but no, it's quite subtle. Yeah, as I say, a little bit of sandalwood smell, but not very close to the real thing. Okay, now, yesterday I dipped some paper strips in there, and so these have sat for 24 hours now. I wanted to do that so I could just talk about the dry down to you, describe that to you. So I'm just going to do that now, starting with the Mysore. So this one, as you would expect, is subdued now. It's still got very similar profile to what it had in the opening. The only thing is, I would say that there's a little more woodiness to it now. It has got a little more of that dry wood, pencil shaving wood going on in here now, which wasn't really noticeable above the clay top notes. But yeah, it's smelling a little bit more woody now. So that's that one. And then the Australian one, the good Aussie one. Yeah, it's really cheesy and mouldy, this one. It's very similar profile to how it was. Obviously, it's dialed back a few notches, having sat there for 24 hours, but it's pretty much the same smell. It's just more subdued. It's still got that earthy, woody, wet, rotting forest floor smell. Yeah. Then coming to the New Caledonian one. So the sour note's gone from this now, and that's exposing more of the sandalwood smell. I think this is actually moving closer towards the Mysore now than it opened. Yeah, it's quite a good sandalwood smell. And even though it was subtle on the paper to start with, it's still, even after 24 hours, it's still quite detectable on there. So that's good. It lasts a long time, very persistent. So that's that one. And then finally, we've got here the synthetic Javanol. Yeah, that's really wound back a long way. I tell you what though, it does smell a little more like sandalwood now than it did in the opening. Still got that waxy synthetic smell, but there's more of that sort of sandalwood, milky clay coming through here now. Yeah, I wouldn't describe it as a close approximation, but it's closer than it was. All right, well, that's pretty much it. I think, just to summarise, this one at $17, if I was wanting to make a perfume that really had a good, strong sandalwood smell, I'd be going for this, because it's not a prohibitive price, and I don't think, well, I wouldn't be going for the Australian one, as much as it pains me to say that as an Australian, but I wouldn't be using that if I wanted to get a good sandalwood profile. I would only use this one. I'd be more likely to use this one, to be honest, if I wanted to go for that forest floor smell in my base. I might use this in place of an agarwood, because it would be a lot cheaper at $8.60 a gram. but I wouldn't be using it if I wanted to get a really good sandalwood smell. I would possibly use the new Caledonian one because I think this is close enough to still give you a really nice sandalwood profile. And yeah, I think that it's probably worth saving the 30% on that one. So that one I definitely would consider. Lastly, coming to the Javanol, I don't think I would be using this if I wanted to make a sandalwood perfume as such. I might use it, I guess, for some sort of structural component. So if I wanted to soften out the composition and round off the rough edges in a wood base, I might use some of this to do that, but I wouldn't be doing it for the smell of sandalwood. You could combine this with a natural material and get something that would be probably quite good, but I wouldn't be using this on its own if I wanted to get a sandalwood perfume. So that's pretty much it for today. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you found this informative and interesting. And if you know anything about these materials, if you are a DIY perfumer and you've experienced them, let me know your thoughts on them. Let me know what you think is best and where you've used them. And if you're someone who just likes perfumes that have the sandalwood smell in them, well, I'm in your camp because I really like them too. So let me know what your favourites are and let me know when you like to wear them. And thank you again for tuning in, and thank you so much for all the wonderful comments and support that you give me, the encouragement and the great ideas you've given me. I really do appreciate it. And if you haven't already subscribed, I encourage you to do that and hit the notifications bell so you'll be notified when the next episode drops. I'm intending to make a lot more of these materials episodes because people seem to find them as interesting as I do, which is great. So until the next time, take care, stay safe, and enjoy your fragrances, whatever you're wearing.
Oh, my muse, you're heavy debt. A ghost I haven't quite finished yet. Lead me down where the briars grow, to the hidden root that the crows all know.